All right, we're going to jump into this. This segment's called plagiarism, or to plagiarize. Comes from the Latin plagiarist, or a kidnapper. This word's derived from the Latin plaga, which was a net used by hunters to catch game. Extended its meaning in Latin to include a person who stole the words rather than children of another. This is Sarah Marshall and Izabella Nuckles. Sarah works for the Parks Department Planning Division, and she plagiarized the city's master plan, cemetery master plan, in filling out a Texas Historical Commission historic cemeteries designation. And we're going to look at that in a minute. She just basically cut and pasted. Izabella Nuckles works directly for the cemetery division. In reviewing her emails, I discovered that she shared a map of Beth Israel number 2 that I had created many years ago, and she put it into a PDF format and claimed to be the author of that document. Let's get to it. On page 6 of the document is the historical background. Now, the instructions ask to provide a brief history of the cemetery. It should include the information regarding the land ownership, the date of establishment, the origin of the cemetery name, historical association with the family, community, church, other things. It says, see the guidelines to it. It says you may submit a separate document if you prefer. And so, starting with the word Evergreen Cemetery, this is what Sarah submitted. The cemetery master plan team had access to documents that I had been collecting for over 10 years. As part of my work with Save Austin Cemeteries, I was working with Danny Camacho. But what you're going to see here is look at these numbers, 135, 136, 137. Everything in blue is a footnote from the master plan. If you look at the text, it doesn't make any sense to see a number here and then another sentence go on. Sarah didn't even bother when she cut and pasted to take out these references that are included in the master plan. I'll show you that in just a second. Nor at the very end of this document, when it finished up, lists the bibliography references, the sources you consulted to write your narrative. She cut and pasted those also from the master plan document and put it in here so it appears that she'd done some mighty fine work, with the exception of it wasn't her work. Let's take a look at the master plan. All right, here's the page 3 of the City of Austin Cemeteries Master Plan. You can see it was prepared for the City of Austin Parks and Recreation Department by Amatera Environmental, with John Milner Associates, McDo Preservation, and Davy Tree. Acknowledgements, all the normal people. Special thanks to members of Save Austin Cemeteries for assistance and support during the entire master plan process. You'll see my name right down here, Dale Flatt. These were some of the key people that helped start Save Austin Cemeteries. And again, Phil Baum, just all kinds of people helped put this thing together. Here in the cemetery master plan document for the historic cemeteries on page 263 is Evergreen Cemetery. And here starts the narrative that Sarah Marshall just cut and pasted. Now tell me if this doesn't start looking familiar. This document here is word for word the same as you just saw. Here's the 135, except it's a footnote here, and here's Charter Highland Park Cemetery Association. Again, I had flagged this a long time ago about using the word New City Cemetery. So, Sarah just basically cut and pasted this whole document here, with the exception of the graphics, and included it in her narrative and failed to give any mention of the work done by all of these people to create this document. She plagiarized that form and put her name on it. Now let's move on to Izabella Nuckles, who works directly for the cemetery division. This is a screenshot of page 84 of 1,919 pages of emails that I acquired during a public information request. There was so much going on that Nobody wanted to account for conversations or bother discussing anything, so I did an open records request. In going through these emails, I found a communication from Izabella Nuckles to Byron, and Byron was a guy who was doing work on Beth Israel number 2. It's a Beth Israel 1 and Beth Israel 2 are subsets of Oakwood Cemetery, and she provided him a list, but she also provided him a map that says Oak BI2 map PDF. You can click on that, and here's the map in question. And so this is what she provided. It's a PDF here with a lot card. Now, I'm very familiar with this because I created this document 7 years ago in Excel. I'll show you that in just a second. But if you go to here to File, and you go to Properties, you go to Description, look who the author is right here. Dennis Izabella. Now it's Nuckles, but this is before she got married. The file name is Oak BI2 Map PDF. The author's here. There's no subject. There's no keywords. There's no reference to perhaps changed into PDF format from Dale Flatt's original work. Didn't exist. She took this. This is my work here. This is her work that she presented at hers. Here's the Excel file from 2013. It's the exact same thing. All she did was take it, save it into a PDF format. Here we can look on this. And of course, anybody could just change the dates on their computer and do stuff, but why would I? I created this on 4/26 of 2013 at 11:59 p.m. This is my work. That Izabella Nuckles took my work, copied it into another format, a PDF, and put her name on it. No doubt in anyone's mind, it's right here in the email. On May 7th of 2019, she sent this PDF to Byron, who was doing work at Resetting Monuments over there in Beth Israel 2. And she put her name on my work. So here we are. Sarah Marshall, who just cuts and pastes work from Amatera, from the city's master plan, fails to give them credit for any of the things. She actually left in the footnote numbers, didn't even bother editing those out. Didn't submit a separate document and said, hey, this is a great explanation. This is from our city's master plan. I couldn't do any better here. Use this. Nope. She cut and pasted and even put into bibliography. And then Izabella Nuckles, this isn't the first time that she has used somebody else's work. In some of her reports for Headstone Conservation, she's gone on the internet and taken photos from Find a Grave that somebody else had posted on Find a Grave and is using those in her reports without also giving reference to the source of the photos. So it appears like she's gone out and taken those photos. We can do better than this. Do we really need people who are going to steal other people's work and pass it off as their own? Or do we just really need this caliber of people working for the city of Austin? That's up to their supervisors to decide what's going to happen. But as far as I'm concerned, if you're going to plagiarize once, you're going to do it again. And do you really need to be working in historic preservation if you're going to be stealing other people's work?